when there's so much uncertainty, when there's so much change, and particularly when you're trying to plan for the future, when you don't even, you think about what's going on in retail at the moment. Well, for all of us, we don't know whether the virus is going to go away or how long it's going to stay, or we just don't know how that's going to impact us. We don't know about the physical retail versus e-commerce. There's all of that going on for people in retail. How's that going to affect? Does that mean it's going to affect my job? Does that mean it's going to affect my friend's job? And then dealing with everything personally at home. So and that's uncertain too. All of these things, and a lot of these things aren't necessarily in your control. And actually you might get a handle on what happens tomorrow, but week or month or year, this time next year, who knows, so who knows where we're going to be. There's so much things that are going to change and be out of control. And normally when we're trying to plan for the future, we're using our knowledge, our experience, our insight. We're trying to find out lots of different information, lots of different experience, and pulling all that together to help plan, look for trends, look for patterns and plan. But, going back to one of our favorite words, we're in unprecedented times. So actually we have no idea. There is no knowledge that we can get because we don't know what's going to come. There is no experience because we don't know what's going to come. So for me, the best thing you can do in that situation is manage yourself so you are emotionally ready to deal with whatever comes, because underlying and underpinning all of this is we often think it's the events in the world that cause our emotional reactions and cause our emotional disturbances. But it isn't, it's actually our interpretation of those events, what we think those events are going to mean to us, what that means for the future. It's our interpretation of them. And quite often that, there's a whole podcast we could do just purely on that. But if you subscribe to that view, actually that it's not the event, it is actually my reaction. That's in our control. The events isn't. So it's good news, right? Because, it's in our control. Although it might not feel like it's in your control. But there's a really lovely little bit of science, which I think we talked about previously as well, Ollie, on the last podcast we recorded together. But for me, it's the best selling point for this piece of advice in terms of focusing on managing your energy and your emotions. Because in our brains, when we're experiencing any sort of form of emotion like worry, fear, frustration, irritation, guilt, shame, the part of our brains which is the limbic system that deals with all of those, when that's activated, it physically stops the part of our brain called the prefrontal cortex from working. Now, the prefrontal cortex is the bit where we do all our rational thinking. So it's where we do our problem solving. It's where we're creative. It's where we enable ourselves to be most productive and can put things in perspective, can do future broader thinking. I mean, it takes more energy in our brains to do future thinking. So actually, and that's where we're doing it in the prefrontal cortex. So if we're overwhelmed and hijacked by all these emotions, that part of your brain is physically stopping your rational part of your brain from working. So if you're in an emotionally hijacked state because you're so worried, or because you've been guilty, or because you're sad because you've lost a load of things, or because you're angry because someone's taken stuff away, whatever comes tomorrow, you're not going to be able to deal with very well. Because actually when you're in that threat state, you're going to see more threats and you're not going to be able to think clearly about it. So for me, the best thing that you can do, and the only thing that's purely in your control when it's uncertain, is you.